So good morning, everyone. I'm Joyce from Malaysia. So good morning to you all again. I wish you all have a good week. So let us start with a warm welcome to you to our weekly Communities of Practice Sunday check-in section for this half an hour of Dharma reflection and community connections. So if you are a new member of our community, please accept our wholeheartedly warm welcome to you. So we also welcome any questions if you have any regarding to the practice and topics, and we love to help. So this is customary for people in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. I would like to start today by acknowledging the Thera people as the traditional owners of the land on which Nantian Institute resides. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are, and I pay my respects to the elders in the past, present, and emerging. So the check-in sections have been developed by our Communities of Practice team and the entire community. The purpose of these sections is to develop a reflective practice in response to changes. So guided by humanistic Buddhism, we would like to cultivate our practices and to build memorable friendships. So today we are grateful to have Dr. Jonathan Page to facilitate us the third topic related to sadness. So after 2 consecutive sections on sadness discussions, so today we come to a topic called so much of sadness, what can I do? So let's welcome Dr. Jonathan Page to lead us to the topic. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Joyce. Thank you very much indeed, and welcome everybody from, as we say, the 10 directions, each person bringing along their own emotions, their own emotional life, and perhaps this week with a deep desire to be of service to other people. So we will continue the theme of the wonders of sadness, which we could call the season of sadness, or the sadness of spring, because that's the season that we're enjoying now in Sydney, at least in Australia. So this sadness that we may feel, it may be tucked away somewhere, often contrasts with the social expectation of joy in sunny weather, or even joyfulness on a birthday. So many of us might feel sad on that day. But that's no problem, because sadness is quite natural. So this week, I want to broaden our gaze to the sadness of other people, so many others in the world, those that we know, but also those beyond our direct knowledge. But firstly, let's have a brief meditation together. So let's gently shut our eyes. Just check in and make sure you're feeling comfortable. You might notice your own mind and feelings, thoughts that are present there, but begin to relax and approach the meditation this week with curiosity and with confidence. So within your own mind, you notice the posture of your physical body. Are there any points in your body of discomfort, tightness, any concern to you, or any focus of disquiet, however subtle? So check especially around the face and the eyes, the lips and the throat, where we often retain emotion. And to elicit the inner affective or emotional sensations, you might like to place the palm of your right hand over the heart area in the center of your chest and slightly to the left. Sometimes you can place both palms there, one on top of the other, if this is a place where emotions are also stored, and it can trigger feelings that you were not aware of. You may incidentally feel your own heartbeat. So within your sense of self, you may notice a certain feeling tone to your mood, which might be positive. You might feel buoyant, joyful, excited, or it might be negative. So you might feel slothful, bored, depressed, or it might be neutral, which may in fact be a very subtle sense of calmness. So sometimes our emotions or moods may be easy to identify, but sometimes not. Sometimes there may be a mixture of feelings, such as fear or disappointment, shame, loneliness, and these feelings may come and go, wax and wane. The feelings may be superficial or deep, and sometimes, interestingly, it may be unclear whether these feelings are primarily ours, or perhaps we've absorbed these feelings from someone else. So remember also that our emotional lives connect us to all other conscious beings. So now take your attention to the tip of your nose, to the nostrils. And begin to watch the spontaneous rhythm of your breath, which also connects us with all other living beings. Notice the air moving in through the nostrils, sometimes feeling cool and sharp if the air temperature is that way, but if it's warm, you may not feel anything. The air fills the lungs, and after a short pause, the air all by itself begins to escape as we breathe out, as we expire. The air is now warm and soft, and after the lungs are empty, there's another brief pause, and then the next breath arises, again, all by itself. Sometimes our feelings are reflected in our breath. So now just watch the rhythm of your own breath as you breathe in and out through your nostrils for the next minute. So now when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes and just notice any feelings that may be present, perhaps a new feeling that has arisen, or perhaps you've reconnected with an older feeling that's been present for some time. And let's re-enter the bountiful world of sadness that we've shared together on previous weeks. Into a world of so much sadness, what can we do? So there are three things. There are three things to begin with. First, we must seek inspiration and motivation. So the next slide. So this is the remarkable Indra's net, which I find inspiring and motivating. So this is a net, this is a concept that has been present for 2,500 or more years. This net extends in 3 dimensions, and you notice that there is a jewel, a sparkling jewel at each node. The important thing is that these nodes can represent us and all sentient beings and all other beings. The important thing is that we're all connected by this magical net, and if you look closely within each of those jewels, you can see the reflection of all the other jewels. So in each of us, there is a reflection of everybody else who is alive. All other beings are reflected in us, and importantly, we are reflected in all the other jewels. Such is the complexity of this connection. So this concept of interconnection and also dependent origination, if fully absorbed by watching and looking and understanding this net, can be transformative. So the next slide, Joyce. So this represents such a jewel. You can imagine this represents our deeper inner goodness, our Buddha nature. And I've marked one facet on the surface. And so if we feel sad, we could imagine that one of these facets is sad, but it hardly disturbs the wondrous nature of this deep inner jewel that we all possess. So the next slide. I always like to include an inspiring image such as Avalokiteshvara, which is the wonderful depiction of ultimate compassion. And you can imagine encountering such a being if you were feeling very low and depressed and despondent, and just imagining that all those feelings would suddenly dissipate as you looked into the loving eyes of a bodhisattva. This is inspiring. So the next slide. So here I've listed some of the ideas that can help us address the sadness of the world. I'll mention some of them this week, but others will be addressed in the next 2 weeks. So it's important that we begin, having become inspired and motivated, by gently exploring our own self-awareness. We begin first by simply doing that, becoming aware of ourselves, and then beginning to understand. So this is a slow and gradual process that may take some time and cannot be rushed. We discover the joy in our own sadness. We also develop and understand and employ self-compassion. And the meditation next week will focus on self-compassion. This is very important to do this frequently, ideally every day in our meditation, and we can test it out in real life. We should also remember, as I mentioned just before, that we all contain an essential Buddha nature that we may not be aware of, but it is there nonetheless. And this contributes feelings of kindness, compassion, wisdom, and equanimity that we already have. And we need to make contact with this element to nourish it, and eventually this will guide us towards a mind of bodhicitta. We next have to develop the skill of listening, because these skills are going to help us to address the sadness of the world. But first we have to prepare. An important part is listening. But first we do have to learn to clear our mind so that we can devote our entire mind to the words of the other, so that we can deeply listen without those words being in conflict with our own thoughts. So again, our mind can be cleared of thinking if we practice during daily meditation. Related to that practice is a practice called insight dialogue that I mentioned last week. So this is generally done with another, and this can be practiced virtually every day. So we begin with the intention of deeply listening, and we follow the sequence. We pause, so we clear our mind, we become engaged, we're present, and we know that our next role is mindful listening. We relax, we open our heart and mind, we trust the emergence of whatever happens between ourselves and the other person, and when it is our turn to speak, we speak the truth. And then we listen deeply when the other person begins. So this can be done. This can be done at any time, and we become better and better at this. Finally, there is a bonus. There is a number 8, which I'll mention now, and that is patience. We have to be patient with the practice, and particularly with the questions that arise in our own hearts. We want to know what to do, what's happening, what's next. These questions should be asked, but we cannot answer them. We have to be patient and do not seek the answers now. So these are essential qualities to develop the skill of addressing the sadness in the world, and we will be practicing and discussing further in the next 2 weeks. But let's now break into our groups and we can discuss some of these matters further.
So thank you, Jonathan. So thank you to all. We really hope that the check-in section was helpful to you, and we hope you experienced the unconditional love and compassion from this community. But for anyone who might be experiencing a greater need than what today could meet, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us and with the email stated here. And you can also reach out to the professional organizations on the screens. So we do have 2 upcoming events. The first one that you can see from the screen now is actually organized by the Buddhism in the Sea of Islands webinar series. So with the title on casting intranet across the Pacific, about this Robert Aiken and growth of the Diamond Sangha as a trans-Pacific movement by Helen J. Maroney on 16th of September. The time is 4 to 5:30 p.m. So yeah, you can scan the QR code here or the website, access the news in the website to register yourself to the wonderful event here. The next one will be on 19th September, so the time is 11 to 12, the meditation section guided by Dr. Jonathan Page. So do welcome all on this coming section. So as we check out today, so let's recite the dedication of merits together to send love and compassion to whoever in need.
Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows.
So thank you everyone for joining us. So once again, many thanks to Dr. Jonathan sharing on the beautiful slides on the intranet, which explains the multifaceted diamond of our Buddha nature. So he also shares us the detailed steps in seeking inspiration and motivation on how to handle sadness, which reminding us to become more aware of our sadness in others' sadness and also the world. So I wish we all can embrace sadness and treat it as a great teacher for us and transform it into joy and gratitude. So now we will have our usual post-in section in a discussion. So please stay around if you have time. Otherwise, see you all again next week and at 11 a.m. on Sunday. So have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.